in Lizhensk. Those of you who've been there, little town. Sure, it didn't look that much different when Rabbi Melach was there, maybe a little less. There's always, whenever I go there, there's the airport that's in Rzeszów, which is a town maybe 25 kilometers outside Lizhensk. And whenever I go there with a friend of mine, and we land in Rzeszów. We drive to Lizhensk, we come back, but there's always a restaurant. For some reason, we always stop there. He has a chicken, I can have the chicken, but he has chicken, I have these pierogies with potatoes inside. It's like every time we go there, that's what we do. So I'm sure it looked a lot like that 250, 300 years ago when the Holy Rabbi Melach was there. Well, the Melach passes away, and every year on the 21st of Adar. Why the 21st of Adar? Death anniversary of the Melach. On the 21st of Adar, is everyone sleeping, everyone awake? It was a long Shabbat, and the summers things are long, but it's a long third meal. But we could awaken a little. The Melach of Lizhensk passes away, and every year on his death anniversary, his students would come and do a hilulah. They would sit like this. They would sing. They would connect, do the thing. One of these times, a woman comes and asks students. This happened to be Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Rimanov, city maybe 2 hours south of Lizhensk. One of the Rabbi Melech students, just as we know, it says, "V'nahar yotzeh mi'Eden." A river came from the Garden of Eden, and then it kept flowing, and then it broke into four. So it says the river is the Baal Shem Tov. The flowing of the river was the Magid HaMezrich. When it started breaking is Rabbi Melech, and then it had four rivers. His four big students was Rabbi Abraham Yeshua Heschel of Apta, the Apta Rebbe that we go visit in Tiberias. The second of all is the Jose of Lublin, the seer of Lublin. His third big student, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Rimanov, I just mentioned his name 2 seconds ago. And his fourth student, some of you have been there, Rabbi Yisrael of Korzmitz. Okay, so I'll take a little solace in the fact that when we talk, not everyone listens, but that's okay. Or maybe everyone listens, but we don't remember. It's just fine. So, at one of these hilulahs, in the death anniversary of Rabbi Menachem Lizhensk, a woman comes and asks Rabbi Menachem Mendel Rimanov, please give me a blessing. And he's sitting there with his children. He's sitting there with everyone, all the students of the Rabbi Melech, and they're sitting, and he says, please give us a blessing. One of the people in my family is not feeling well. Please help me. They look at her. It just looks like a regular woman. We're connecting to Rabbi Melech. She says, or you give me a blessing, I'm going to go to the tailor. He's going to give me a blessing. Huh? Student of Rabbi Melech and the tailor. It's like it's like even a choice. So students of Rabbi Melech are like, what? The tailor or one of the students, like the student of Rabbi Melech? So who's this tailor guy? Is he like doing black magic? As I've traveled South America, there's all these black magic people that are based in Cuba. They're Santeria is like this Cuban black magic spread throughout Venezuela. Chavez has 250 at least these Santerias working in the palace, and they're dressed in white. They're like Lavan. They're in white, but they're black, right? They're like Lavan. They're just, as we were waiting for Chavez in the thing, all these guys in white are walking back and forth. It's unbelievable. So he says, you know what, go to the tailor. Because they want to know who's this tailor guy and what's up with him. They follow her to the tailor. She goes, she gets a blessing, and then go and says, tailor, what's up with you giving blessings? He says, I'll tell you the story. She says, you know, I used to be a big tailor. All these guys were coming to me. I used to do suits for, you know, good money. One day, the lord of the town comes to me, says, I want a suit for the wedding of my child. This is great. He does for the kids. They love the suit. They say, you know what, do for the whole wedding. He becomes like the guy of the town. One day he says, you know what, I want all my security to wear your suits. Go to this town, go to Leipzig, Danzig. It's near Gdynia where we spend Shabbat. Because we've been Shabbat in Poland. In the north, it's right there. It's near Gdynia. Remember Gdansk? When that part of Poland was ruled by the Germans, it was Danzig. It was a different name. Not in Warsaw. When we spent in the north, remember? We flew from there to Baal Shem Tov. So he says, go there, and it's a long ride. It's an hour from Lizensk to Warsaw, and it's an hour from Warsaw to Gdansk. So it's a 2-hour flight, probably 12-hour drive today, probably like a week with the horse and buggy and all that stuff. So he sends them to dress up all his security guys, all the people. On his way there, coming to the other direction, is another horse and buggy with some guy dragged in the back. So he tells his driver, stop, and let's stop the guy. He says, and they stopped him and says, what do you want? He says, who's this guy that you're dragging along? He says, well, he owes me a bunch of money, he can't pay me back. He says, how much does he owe you? He says, well, he owes me whatever. He says, oh my God. The money that the Lord guy gave him to go to Danzig, Gdansk, to buy the fabric for his security people is exactly the same. He says, you know what? Here it is. He took the money that's not his, somebody else's money, to pay for the ransom of the guy. He says, great. The guy's like hugging him, kissing him, thank you, thank you, thank you. Tells his driver, let's go back home. Goes back home. The guy obviously wasn't happy. The guy used his money to free some dying guy anyway. He says, you know, you owe me all this money. He says, I'll do whatever it is to pay you back. He says, great, and you'll have to pay me back, but know one thing, you'll never, ever, ever be able to be a tailor anymore. So, loses everything, loses his great job, loses everything. And slowly he's paying this guy back. And he becomes a beggar. Goes from town to town, begs for money. One day he comes to Lizensk, and by Rabbi Melave, every minyan, ouch, remember that, every minyan, they would have a little cookie and a little sabra, right? You give sabra, a little, what was the sabra? A little schnapps and a little, for, they called the tikkun, for the elevation of the sparks. Every day. He's like, you know what, I can do this. I'll beg during the day. I'll come for the schnapps and shachrit. They were big drinkers. Schnapps and shachrit, mincha, arvit, get a little this, and try to get some food. It's working for him. This is happening constantly. One day, Rabbi Melave, and every time Rabbi Melave would talk, no one would understand. He would never understand a word because he had no education. One day he gets inspired by Rabbi Melave, and he decides he's started to listen to what Rabbi Melave has to say. And Melech is talking about prayer, connecting prayer. He says, okay, today I'm gonna pray Arvit, the evening prayer. But I don't know anything, but whatever I do know, I'll try to focus on the words, try to focus on this. And he starts praying, and he goes into I don't know if you guys have ever felt this, but there's certain times you pray and you feel something special. Like 99% of the time we pray and we feel nothing, right? Am I the only one who 99% doesn't feel anything? Anybody else not feel every time? Is there anyone who actually feels every time they pray? I don't think there's a person living on this planet, the rest of my family excluded, that you go through shachrit sometimes and you're wearing the tefillin and you don't feel anything. I don't know if it's just me, but maybe you too, something, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like you don't feel, but there's certain times, you guys know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, Jeff? Right? Okay. Not the only loser here, right? We pray, we do the physical action, we don't feel. But sometimes, there's those few moments, we may even cry. Have you ever, who's cried here during prayer? Like, just, I've seen it. Like, somebody just break down, you're like, you know what? I don't know what this is, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm crying, right? I once, and I think I share this, I was once whenever I think about prayer and that, there's two. One, I'll just share this and we'll go back to the story. I was at the Chasidic, and I'm by myself. Twice I've gone by myself to the tzaddikim, a little freaky to be in the middle of Poland, and just me and my driver. He's in the car smoking his cigarettes, and I'm by the Chasidic all by myself. And I close my eyes and start praying, and I feel that if I open my eyes, I'm going to see the Chasidic. Like, I know that that I'm praying with him, but not, he's buried in his grave, covered with the stuff, 6 feet under. But he's actually facing me. And if I'm going to open my eyes, I'm going to see him, and it's going to freak me out of my skull. And I better keep my eyes closed, because if I open my eyes, I'm going to see him. And then, all bets are off. Maybe I just leave this world because I see this dead guy. But like, it was one time. Second time, we were in Chicago for Rosh Hashanah, and the Rav was extremely, put it nicely, not so nice to me. And if you were honest, the Rav was like going nuts on me, and I was just I didn't know what to do anymore. I just started weeping. Like, God, I don't know why, what, when, and where, and 2 times in my life I just, really felt the prayer. Like I felt like this is what it really should be all the time, even though it's never like that. I mean, the closest thing I've gotten to that was last Shvat, Rosh Chodesh Shvat. We prayed Rosh Chodesh. The last time Shabbat was Rosh Chodesh Shvat. We prayed at the Kotel Netz, and there was a very special kind of feeling there. But a few times, I could actually name them. I have more fingers than the times I've prayed where I've felt God. Like, felt. Not like connected. I've connected more, but felt. A few times. So, this guy gets into this tailor, back to the story, right? The tailor, he lost everything. The tailor lost everything. Who everyone now goes for blessings, as opposed to the tzaddikim. He starts praying the night prayer, closes his eyes. He opens his eyes, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. The house of study is locked. No one realized that he didn't come out. It's locked. He's locked into the house of study. Lunch he hasn't eaten because he's waiting for the little, the sabra and the cookies, and maybe someone's gonna give him some, nothing. Suddenly there's a knock on the door and there's an old guy coming in, and he brings him a tray of like steak and like a feast. He says, "What's this?" He says, "You don't recognize me, do you?" He says, "I'm the guy that you saved that day in the carriage. I was getting dragged." He says, "Really? How are you doing?" He says, "You know, not so good. 2 months after you saved me, I was in that much pain and my soul left this world. But the angels, seeing you today, praying like you did and feeling the Creator, and when you finished prayer, you were locked in the war room, locked in, with nothing to eat. God wanted to send someone to give you some food, and I said, you know what? God, let me be the messenger. He saved my life. I want to save him. And they brought me this tray to give to you. This is prepared by the angels in the Garden of Eden." So, but not only that, because of your connection and what you've done to me, from today on, you're going to go and be able to help people. Go home. The grass that grows around your house, because they're in your house, will be able to heal people. Because they're around your house. Because you're the type of guy who is willing to give up the best job in the world to save my life. He says, "Go and help people." And the tailor tells the students of Melave, that's my story. That's from that day on, I started to give people the grass I have growing in my house, and somehow it helps people. When I read the story last week, I said to myself, you know, sometimes we don't know what it is, but one action could change the course of our life. The messed up thing is we don't know what that action is. We don't. But know that one action could change the course of everything. Always for the best. Because there isn't a person here that's not forgivable for whatever we do. There isn't a person who can't change anything in the past. But once in a while, or once in a lifetime, we could do one action to change our entire future. Yehi HaChodesh Hazeh Kidru Adai B'Chozeh Ve'ich HaChodesh Kosason Ve'lo Simcha